Hello, thank you for checking this out. In this video, I will be summarizing the Song of the Lioness series written by Tamara Pierce and published in the 1980s, but I'm going through it with more focus on an important background character that is the twin brother of the protagonist, Alanna, and I think Alanna would be okay with that. Tamara Pierce is my favorite young adult fantasy author. Most of the videos on this channel are me discussing my feelings about her books, and that is what I plan to continue to make going forward. If that interests you, here we go. If you want a more general summary of the Song of the Lioness series, I made a shorter video before this one, but I have wanted to dig more into Thom's side of this genre-defining series. Alanna's story, this whole series, doesn't happen if he doesn't agree to pull off the twin switch, or if he didn't succeed in his part of it for whatever reason. There may be other ways that the story could have gotten Alanna to her knighthood and the legend that she became, but it wouldn't have been with Thom, her twin, and the part he played. For this video, I will also be focusing more a little bit on the villain, the Duke Roger of Confronts. Hi, Rosie. Hi. You go lay down, please. Go. All the spoiler alerts for a middle grade young adult fantasy series that's been out for more than 4 decades. Starting with book 1, Alanna, the First Adventure. Thom has the first dialogue line on page 1 before Alanna, and he's expressing his frustration with what their father has ordered them to do by punching the wall. This outburst aside, he's not the warrior between the two twins. Alanna is. Both of them have the magical gift of this fantasy world, but Thom loves his gift. It's what makes him special. Alanna, on the other hand, fears her gift and is ready to pretend that she doesn't have it. Alanna's ambition at the start of the series is to become a legendary warrior maiden, the first female knight in over 100 years in the kingdom of Tortall. Thom wants to be a great sorcerer. Both of them have some foresight ability through their magic. Thom's ability is narratively claimed to be stronger than Alanna's. It would make sense that he would have cultivated it however he could, while she was as repressive as she could be for the first 11 years of her life. It's Thom who later bestows the title and iconography of the Lioness to his sister, Alanna. The only difference between the intense neglect that Alanna experienced from their father and Thom's experience is he always knew that he would one day inherit Trebond and the noble title and whatever financial stability that meant, where Alanna would be traded off to marry whoever caught her father's attention long enough to ask for her. That is, if she did as she was expected to. For whatever reason, Thom is the twin with the skill to mimic their father's handwriting. On the day they are sent away, he makes new copies of their father's letters. Thank you, Rosie. One to the woman in charge of the convent where Alanna is supposed to be sent. They also teach young boys in their early magical studies, so Thom being sent there out of the two brothers isn't strange. Alanna cuts her hair and becomes Alan, 10 years old and headed to the capital city. Thom copies out a letter addressed to Duke Gareth of Naxon, in charge of training pages and squires in the palace. After Thom parts from Alanna on page 11, he's not seen again in the first book, beginning his magical training while Alanna begins her knighthood training. She makes friends, he doesn't. He chooses to play stupid, a deception, since his sister is pretending in her new life as well. At the end of chapter 2, Alanna and Duke Gareth talk about her father and her brother, that it doesn't surprise her that their inattentive parent would mix the two of them up in the letter that he wrote to Duke Gareth. Gareth, for his own reasons, never thought very highly of Lord Alan, and this seeming mix-up doesn't help. Alanna successfully fools her training master, whom she respects, and at the end of the chapter grieves the father who will never know her. Alanna is gradually successful in the martial and the academic sides of her studies. Her magical side comes to a test in chapter 4 when her best friend, the Crown Prince of Tortall, is dying. Hundreds in chorus have died to the sweating sickness already. She discusses her magic and her brother and his magic with the king and the queen in part of convincing them to let her try to save John. There are alternate versions of reality where Thom is the one who went to the palace like he was supposed to. John probably would have died without Alanna there. That's why we have the series that we do. King Rold the Peacemaker and Queen Leanne have a very light but very significant presence throughout the series. Alanna is deceiving them, Thom is an accomplice, and Rold and Leanne are the rulers of a very large, highly fractured realm. Alanna respects them enough to, later in life, attribute her daughter's name to the queen, Alianne. Queen Leanne survived a bout with the sickness as well, but her health never fully recovers. In Chapter 1, Maud, the village midwife and healer woman who partly raised the twins and gave them what magical training they had up till that point, told Alanna she needed to learn to heal, in part to pay for the lives she was inevitably going to take as a legendary knight. Alanna listened, didn't forget, but also didn't do anything to heal up until saving John. If Maud said anything to Thom like that, we don't know. If it was something to grow a heart, learn compassion, it doesn't seem like he listened. The next time Thom is discussed, it is between Alanna and Duke Roger, the ultimate overarching antagonist of the series. His crime is ambition and later treason, among other unsavory traits. He's 14 or 15 years older than Prince John and John's heir. Roger was old enough to start thinking he was going to become king when John was born instead. Roger is handsome, charming, manipulative, and magically powerful. After the sweating sickness, he's summoned to Chorus by King Rold to investigate and to train the page and squire boys with magical gifts more deliberately. Roger interviews each of the pages. He's testing them for magic if they don't already know. Alanna knows, but denies she has very much power and doesn't share much about her brother. Nevertheless, Roger sends some sort of investigator to find out more about Thom. Thom is aware of this fact before Alanna ever is. At this time, Thom is housed in a co-ed convent in the City of the Gods. He is focused on his studies and is playing like he's stupid. The relationships he would have would be with people that he perceives as duped. While they are majority probably either kind or indifferent, or else people who are cruel to the stupid, that's what he is inviting. When people realize he's not stupid like he's pretending, or else they know all along that he's not, no one likes a disingenuous, inauthentic relationship unless they're getting something out of it. So while Alanna is building lifelong friendships and relationships and being guided by good mentors, Thom is self-isolating. We're going to talk now particularly a little bit about George. George is the king of thieves, or the king of the court of the rogue in Chorus, capital of Tortall. He is 7 years older than Alanna and Thom. He doesn't have the gift, but he has a magical sight, a passive form of magic. He sees Alanna when she is brand new to Chorus, crossing through the city to the palace. George is endgame for Alanna. When George first learns that Alanna is a girl, she and Thom are 11, and one of the first things that he does is offer to smuggle untampered mail between Alanna and Thom. There was always a chance of their palace or convent guardians opening their correspondence, and almost certainly Roger would have snooped. George enables the fullest relationship the twins are able to have, separated as they are by hundreds of miles, differing magical ambitions, and 8 years. Thom validates Alanna's intuitive concerns about Duke Roger. He relays that he has some level of communication with their father. He already understands that Roger will see him as a threat in the future because Thom is an ambitious young sorcerer, deceiving those around him of his skill and intellect, powerful and going to become more powerful. Thom is unable to look in on Alanna through the fire, demonstrating that he expects to be able to do that over the distance, so in some way she is shielded in particular. Thom lives through his adolescent years in states of deception and paranoia. He does it alone, and he keeps a terrible sleep schedule as he studies and practices alone at night when he should be resting. George recognizes that Roger will see Thom as a threat. Roger has a history of making powerful young sorcerers in Tortall go away. At the end of book 1, Alanna tells John that Thom, of course, was one of the people who knows her truth. She also tells the prince her brother loves magic, while their father hates it. Alanna claims that Thom is the careful one between the two of them, but he has the same temper that Alanna is later infamous for, and is already known for among the palace residents who have contact with her. It seems to me that this temper would have led to conflict between father and son. And so, having told her truth to the prince, we end book 1 and go to book 2, In the Hand of the Goddess. Between this book and the first book, Thom and Alanna's father dies. which makes Thom now Lord Thom of Trebond. The twins see each other at Lord Alan's funeral before the book begins. Thom's absorption in his sorcery studies and his distant isolation in the city of the gods make it a more practical choice for Alanna to manage Trebond, even though she also lives a few hundred miles away in Chorus. I mentioned Maud before, but not Coram, who is the other adult that provided care, attention, and education for the twins before they began their adventures. Coram went with Alanna to Chorus to begin her page training. He was her man-at-arms and attendant. He didn't know about the identity switch between the twins until it had already been done and they were on the road. Alanna at the time threatens to use magic on him to convince him to go along with it. I like to think that Coram just lets her think that that is why he agreed. He doesn't like magic at all, but at this beginning point in time, neither does Alanna. I think it's textually supported later on that he was proud of her, and he thinks that she might be able to do this knighthood training and that she deserves a chance to try. But now, with Lord Alan dead, Thom and Alanna both physically absent, Coram returns to his true home, Trebond, to steward the fief while the twins finish their training. In Chapter 1, Alanna discusses her brother and his ambition when she meets the Great Mother Goddess. Later, Alanna writes to Thom about this encounter and about the cat that she acquired the same night, who she named Faithful. She also writes about Roger's reaction to the cat and the cat's reaction to him. The first letter that George delivers to Alanna from Thom in this book establishes the way that Thom lives, playing stupid, paranoid, and alone, and legitimately aware he's under some observation by people who are most likely paid by Duke Roger. In the first book, in one letter, he spoke without joy about giggling girls and moving to another cloister that was male only, and how that was preferable and quieter for his endless studies. It was this point that I put here is really for later, but this is where I realized it when Alanna is dueling, sparring with one of her former friends, Alex. She is still a squire. He is a new knight. But what I realized is Thom is an unpleasant person. When Alanna leaves the palace and Chorus at the end of book 2, Thom moves in. Thom looks like Squire Alan, but he's not like Alan. Alan had a temper, but was also courteous and respectful, where Thom is arrogant, impatient, and impolite. A sharp tongue never sheathed, as Gary the Younger later says. And it was here, during this sparring between Alex and Alanna, when he seems to almost be trying to kill her, that I thought of this. And then after that, 16 years old, Alanna goes to fight in the Tusain War. Far away in the city of the gods, Thom would know his sister was in danger and that there was nothing he could do. Maybe he can magically watch, but that's it. And eventually in the situation, he will know that Duke Roger is in charge of her life and where she's positioned. I wonder if Thom ever felt through a twin's connection when she was in mortal peril. And then after the war, back home that winter, Alanna falls through ice thinned by salt while she's skating. She survives. I wonder if Thom felt that danger for that moment. And I wonder, was he there when she went through the ice when she was 5? It seems likely to me that he would have been. After this most recent threat to her life, Alanna travels the long way to the north to visit her brother. George accompanies her because they're friends, because he loves her, and because he wants to keep her safe. Thom is very aware that George is the one facilitating the clean, unopened letters between himself and Alanna. As the readers, we never get to see Thom's stupid act. On the page, we only see the fallout. At 17 years old, and having revealed he has a mastery level of knowledge of sorcery, he only needs to perform a practical to don the master's robe. We only meet one teacher who is cold toward Thom after being warmly social toward Alanna and George. At this point, both Thom and Alanna have projected their assumptions of how others will react when their truth is revealed, but Alanna gives people a chance to react how they choose to, where Thom never does. Thom is frivolous with his power and with Alanna's token from the Great Mother Goddess, a forever burning ember in a clear crystal shell that she wears on a necklace. For Thom, this would confirm his sister being shielded from him divinely. Alanna recognizes that Thom is completely alone, and he has made it so deliberately. Did he expect Alanna would be as well? George at least also sees that Thom will be a powerful mage ally to John when Alanna goes wandering, which will be a relief if Roger is still lurking as a threat. Toward the end of the book, when Alanna tells Gary her truth, she includes Thom again as among the people who already knew. Thom is late to reach Chorus when Alanna goes into the chamber of the ordeal and is knighted by King Rold. He dramatically steps out of the crowd after she is knighted to present her shield. His reason for being late was he was finishing making her shield, which shows the Trebond coat of arms at first, but it's an illusion over a Lioness Rampant, her iconography and legendary name, quote, for when you reveal what you really are. Thom is right. Trebond isn't her home anymore, has not been, and is barely a factor in her ultimate identity. Alanna likes her brother's creation and gift for her. Later that evening, Thom directly introduces himself to Duke Roger and starts a conversation. As Tamara Pierce said in an old blog, and likely elsewhere, Thom wouldn't let anyone stop him from doing exactly what he wanted. Pride is 100% in play here, and Thom is one kind of peacock, Roger is another. The problem is, Roger is something like 18 years older than Thom. Even if Thom is magically more powerful and fresh with his master's robe, he is 100% politically inexperienced next to Roger's ambition, age, manipulation skills, and connections. And Roger is the next most powerful mage if he's not as powerful as Thom. Alanna sees Roger fixated on Thom and, quote, the questions her brother represented. Duke Roger has been obsessed with this country bumpkin noble, page, and then Squire Allen, thwarting his rise to power. Roger would be aware by now that Thom deceived his teachers, his peers, and whoever Roger paid to watch him. Thom may be his equal. Thom probably seems pliable. Their talk is intent. Likely it is also barbed and double entendra'd. Thom keeps Roger busy while Alanna breaks into Roger's workroom. Thom is not talking to Roger when Alanna returns to the crowd in the throne room. He stands beside her before she reveals to King Rold and the court the wax dolls that Roger has been manipulating, including of the royal family. Roger challenges Alanna to a duel to prove his innocence, claiming she set up the dolls. Thom is mild in response to the reveal of why Alanna has never seemingly been able to connect the dots on the multiple threads to her life and the connected threads to John and the king and queen. He uses the name Alan with an acidic tone when he and Alanna are in a room with a small group of others who know Alanna and have been along her journey. Only one person, Myles, the teacher that she has grown closest to, has not been told the truth. Alanna tells him now, and he reveals that he mostly figured it out, but thanks her for telling him herself. Thom is worried about Alanna going into the duel against Roger, and is the only one to cry foul when he realizes that Roger is casting magic during the sword fight. Thom steps forward when Alanna's shirt and binder corset are cut by Roger and reveal her breasts to the king and the court. Thom delivers the explanation to the king and the court of how he and Alanna switched places because he wanted to be a sorcerer and she wanted to be a knight. King Rold allows the duel to continue, although Roger charges back in without waiting. He's pissed at being fooled by both twins. And then Alanna proves to be the better fighter and puts her sword through Roger's chest. Her twin looks on her with horror, as does everyone else. Thom does not appear in the book's epilogue. He and Alanna would have said their goodbyes inside the palace. He probably still hates horse riding. And that leads on straight to book 3, The Woman Who Rides Like a Man. In the first chapter of book 1, when Alanna tells Coram the switch plan, but he hasn't made up his mind about going along with it, a snake crosses the road in front of them. His horse panics, but Alanna catches and calms it quickly. Coram thinks then that Thom would have run from such a frightening moment, whether or not that's true. Now, book 3 opens with Alanna and Coram journeying south. Dangerous hill fighters ride down on them, and Coram tells Alanna to run, to which she essentially answers, "You're joking." They fight, they survive, but her sword is broken by an evil magical crystal sword. They meet the desert people of Tortal, the Bajir. During her battle with the hill fighters, Alanna thinks to herself, the first reference to her brother, that she hopes he put enough magic in the shield to survive this first real scuffle with it. It's a long way into the book before Thom is mentioned by name, and one of the young supporting characters of the book that Alanna is talking to asks if he shapeshifted to an animal and got stuck, because I haven't mentioned up to this point because there hasn't really been a reason, but Alanna and Thom both have purple eyes. Their magic is also purple in color, and that's kind of unusual. And then also Alanna's cat has purple eyes, and that's really unusual. So that is why this side character is asking if the cat with purple eyes is Alanna's magical brother, shapeshifted and stuck in the form of the cat. That's why. Book 3 is a lot of internal journey for Alanna, realizing her blessings and growing in control of her magical power. Then she dreams of Duke Roger waking in his tomb. He is not resurrected at this point, but is in a limbo of sorcerer's sleep, some sort of magic to suspend otherwise dying. I think it's fair to assume that Thom also dreams about Roger at least as much as Alanna does. Faithful tells Alanna, "You won't always be able to stand between another person and his fate." At that time, he's talking about Ishak, Alanna's apprentice, but it applies as well to Thom. Alanna remarks that traps are found in strange places, and I have to wonder, did Roger lay traps for Thom? It seems likely to me. 2 letters reach Alanna in the desert. One from her former teacher, Myles, who has certainly at this point taken steps to find out how to legally adopt her should she agree to his offer, and who says nothing in this long sharing letter about her brother. The second letter is from her brother and tells her everything that Myles didn't. This letter is biting, affectionate, and insightful. He is expanding his academics. The remainder of Roger's cult is actively working on him. It's not clear if this would include Alex, but Delia is named, and Thom is clear to Alanna that he's not, quote, interested in her as such. Thom acknowledges and claims that he is indulging in the freedom of living in the capital city after 8 years cloistered with the monks. He claims that folks at the court are polite, which is not the same thing as friendly, and names none of Alanna's friends, not even Prince John. Thom is alone, aggressively, except by those seeking to manipulate his power. Alanna's reaction to all of this is not explicitly given, but we have to assume that she trusts her adult twin to manage himself, no matter what her worries may seem to her. When Prince John makes his way out to visit Alanna, he claims that without her there, no one argues with him anymore. Presumably, this would include Thom, who is then either playing courtier with John or is simply not interacting with him. To me, the latter seems more likely. I think Thom's temper is, after a certain point, more reactive than Alanna's. She is self-aware about her short fuse, while he has sort of ideas about himself and his self-control, among other things. John and Alanna never talk about Thom throughout John's visit, even when Alanna is listing her reasons not to return as John's betrothed, including the way she would be talked about publicly. And when he points out that her friends would not permit such things, that doesn't seem to extend to include in his opinion that her brother would not either. It's as if John does not think of or consider Thom at all. Myles has accompanied John on this desert visit, and when he's talking about Thom and about Alanna's future, she is unwilling to hear any implication of unkindness about her brother, defensive of his right to behave indulgently if he chooses. Myles isn't arguing that, though. His point is, Thom isn't going to make choices that will also look out for Alanna. He is completely correct about that. By making Alanna his legal heir, Myles is securing her finance and freedom that she would not otherwise have, and legitimate status as well. Myles has always seen and treated her as worthy in her own right. With Coram, her other pseudo-father, as a legal witness to her adoption, quote, she now had a father who loved her. John's self-indulgent restlessness here was likely in part spurred by the combination of Alanna and Thom's freedom and determination to stand their own ground where John can't seem to find ground that he feels is his own choosing. Alanna realizes she would not be happy if she were truly alone, again, contrasting Thom's self-selected isolation. By Alanna's refusal of John's betrothal here, they have a big argument and separate for good. Alanna reconnects with George after separating from John, and she calls out George for spying on her, for stalking her, even if it was protectively driven. The odds are pretty good that he has also kept some kind of tabs on Thom and his movements as well from this protective impulse. Autumn grows after Alanna returns to the coast, and so does a sense of power emanating from Chorus. This is Thom at work which means the action to do this is already in place before Alanna begins to perceive it. Thom does not answer Alanna's inquiry letters. He's inconsiderate. Considering the timeline, Thom began to move forward to resurrect Roger after John and Myles returned from the desert, after he learns that Myles adopted his sister. Thom never acknowledges on the page if this hurts him, but Myles concludes that ultimately at least his pride was wounded, if not his lonely heart, who only allowed himself to love his twin. George leaves Alanna for a night to go to chorus. While he is away, Alanna's gift is tapped and drained while she's sleeping. The day is All Hallows, and although her senses feel strangely muted, it's only her twin who is close and powerful enough to do this. There is a surge of some effective, powerful magic felt by Alanna and anyone with magical senses in a large vicinity. Faithful, the potentially divine cat, is freaked out but doesn't explain what he does or doesn't know. When George returns, it turns out part of his mission to Chorus was going directly to Thom and demanding he write to Alanna. He must have done this visit before Thom completed his magical experiment, based on how the letter is written and the fact that George is calm about Thom. Thom asserts in his letter that he assumes Alanna won't mind his borrowing because she hardly uses her gift at all. This is actually untrue. She's been using her magic regularly as a shaman in the desert, a fact Thom either discounts or does not know. Thom does not include in the letter any clue to what he was up to with all that magic. The only explanation that I can land on for why Thom does what he does is purely pride and poetic irony, this resurrecting the sorcerer who would have seen him, his twin, and the entire royal family dead to achieve the throne for himself. It's possible that this whole interplay of events, of Alanna not coming to Chorus herself, looks to Thom like she doesn't care enough about what he's doing to come find out for herself. She's staying away because she doesn't want to run into John or anyone familiar. At this point, she doesn't know her twin might need her to face her superficial fear before it was too late. After Alanna leaves George, the point of view of the following chapter moves around continuously for the first time. George learns now that Thom's magical working and the barrier he put up directly harmed George's mother, who curiously probed the big magic on All Hallows. George and Myles talk about Thom and Alanna among other important plot and establishing details. Myles is the first to put it to voice that Thom either did or tried to raise the dead. He heard specifically how Delia was winding up Thom and publicly picking at his pride. This is where he voices that Thom may feel stung that Alanna has a fuller family and support network than Thom ever imagined and that he's not a part of. George and Myles aren't even rude about Thom here. He's a powerful idiot to their eyes. He also just happens to be very beloved by their mutual favorite, Lady Knight. Thom socially receives George when George breaks into his workroom to wait for him. He speaks mockingly of Alanna and Coram on their adventures again. George is candid with Thom in a way that likely no one else is, calling his bullshit, which Thom unwillingly appreciates. Thom probably has some genuine, limited regret that George's mother got hurt by his barrier, but only because it was enough to bother George, and possibly Thom respects George in ways that he is unaware of for himself. George doesn't beat around the bush, asking who Thom tried to resurrect. In a further draft of this series, there could have been soft beats implying something like attempting to resurrect their long-dead mother was an idea that Thom played with as a child, motivating this experiment with Roger or any other variation to support why he would have done this. Thom overreacts to the direct query, just like Alanna will do when a comment cuts completely close to the truth. This is Thom's pride. He never let himself be seen at the risk of failure by others, and now it costs him too much to be honest or vulnerable. George, despite himself, cares about Thom, mostly due to his connection to Alanna, but particularly because he can see how Alanna could have been like Thom if she had not allowed herself to love and be loved from many different people. George understands Thom better than Thom understands himself, because George can't afford to fool or lie to himself and expect to live for very long. George can see Thom shaking. Near the end of Book 3, Alanna dreams of Thom presenting Roger to the court. Thom probably does not feel responsible for Queen Leanne's almost immediate decline in health after this. Coram, at the end of the book, after Alanna completes a magical working to combine two magical swords, compares her to Thom, trying to prove he can do anything. And last, we get to book 4, Lioness Rampant. From the start of the book, Alanna is plagued by a sense that there is something important she's supposed to be doing, but she can't pin down what it is. She lands on thinking it's a quest to retrieve the Dominion jewel from the remote roof of the world. Along the way, she picks up a few companions. One of them is an essentially exiled princess named Thayet, who needs to find herself a life somewhere outside her home country if she wants to live at all. Before she meets Thayet, Alanna begins traveling with Liam Ironarm, the Shang Dragon. Alanna and Liam do become lovers, but Alanna knows from the beginning there are several reasons it's unlikely to last between them. The first reference to Thom in this book is via Coram, the man-at-arms who took care of Alanna and Thom while their father pretended they didn't exist. This series never gives very much space to how Coram may feel about Thom. He's not particularly complimentary, but only thinks about Thom in direct comparison to Alanna as a potential warrior. If he ever thought Thom was worth more with his focus on sorcery, we never quite know, but Coram has never been fond of magic, even if he has become less fearful. Chapter 2 opens with Alanna in a prophetic dream, seeing Thom desperate for help. In my opinion, this was the important thing she was feeling, but she didn't consider that her brother truly needed her help. She didn't try to understand her visions or control that part of her destiny. This dream tells me that Thom has already realized he's in over his head with the resurrected Roger, and he knows what he needs to fix it, but he does not send any actual message. He admits to no need yet. The dream Thom reaches for Alanna's Ember Stone, and Alanna reacts possessive and protectively. By this, I read that with the help of the goddess's token, he might have resealed Roger, but at the cost of Alanna's future or magic. For the first time, fully realized in her magical power in combat, Alanna empathizes with Thom's obsession with magic. Quote, no wonder he'd given up a normal life in favor of magic. Alanna is actively grateful that she and Thom had Coram to raise them. A quarter of the way into the book, they have traveled too far east for Alanna to magically reach Thom or John. In another dream, Thom is a shadow at Roger's side, at Leanne's deathbed when John questions Roger. George, in the shadows behind John, has eyes on Roger. This dream tells us that Roger is not Roger as before, that King Rold and the court accepted that he has changed, and that is why he is pardoned and permitted to live as a restored noble. He will never be king, and he doesn't want to be anymore. This dream also motivates Alanna to get moving. Whether she takes the dream as prophecy or not, it's making her restless and uneasy. When Alanna plans to bring Thayet home with her, she factors Thom in as someone who would support Thayet, no matter what path she chooses within Tortall. Her urgent sense of the need to go home is growing. When she's almost there, meeting up with her fellow knight and friend Raoul for the first time in something like 2 years, he mentions that Thom is responsible for destroying Roger's wax dolls and likely the other magical items. Alanna knows that traps are found in strange places, but we don't know if Thom knows that. Raoul puts it plain what Thom put in motion, resurrecting Roger at All Hallows. In another chapter of the roaming point of view, Gary the Younger has no fondness for Thom. John seemingly has noticed Thom doesn't look well, but then adds it's George who pointed it out to him. Gary only answers that Thom's temper keeps him from being interested in his well-being. George and his mother, Alani, discuss Thom, Roger, and Roger's seemingly absent gift and what they believe to be the truth. Then there is a section in Thom's point of view, one of 2 from this book. Roger and Thom share quarters and academic pursuits, or at least Roger voluntarily supports Thom's declared interests. From Tammy's old blog, in the original drafted single novel version of the series, Roger and Thom were lovers. That specific content is fully removed from the series other than this fact that Roger and Thom live in the same space with no textual reason offered. Through conversation, Thom declares he's not Roger's keeper. He does not consider himself responsible for anything that Roger does. So, why is Roger choosing to live with him? Why is Thom choosing to allow it if there is no legal or magical obligation to do so? Roger says he owes Thom a debt. Thom has spent a lot of time alone and seems to still think he prefers that, So what other motive would he have to allow Roger to live in his rooms when he's not trying to collect on a debt he doesn't consider owed? Thom is fully aware of his personal appearance and the current state of his health compared to Roger. Thom declares he does not trust Roger or anyone. Roger repeatedly brings up Alanna in this brief conversation. It's clearly his point of interest. He begins to play with a crystal, something that's been established as a means to magically ensnare the attention and the will of less than aware other people. Thom answers Roger truthfully and, quote, reluctantly. Roger is obsessed with Alanna. He remembers that she experiences seasickness, something that Thom forgot about his twin. Thom cannot divine Roger's mind and seemingly does not see fit to try and figure out, or even at least ask, what Roger thinks of Thom's twin, the woman who essentially killed him. The first question that Thom actually puts to Roger is if he's looking forward to seeing Alanna. This moment is where Roger fidgets, redirects the topic to academics, and triggers Thom's temper. Roger, quote, turns on his charm, and this is where he claims to owe Thom, making it plain he was not fully dead, but in some unpleasant limbo from which Thom extracted him. Dear boy, he says, if I can repay you, I will. Thom, for unclear reason, is red with shame, that the court will never trust Roger, that they'll always watch for the return of his gift. The scene ends with Roger standing and telling Thom he would be the first to know when or if his gift returns. This is quickly, plainly a lie, at least to some measure. The question is, does Thom realize this, or is he also lying to himself? I basically have a headcanon that Roger is consistently spelling Thom to keep him from connecting the necessary dots as he has done before to Alanna and to others. He's playing here with the crystal and directing the conversation expertly. Continuing from Thom's point of view, the next scene between him and George is more likely to be honest. George would be Roger's equal if he were trying to manipulate and direct Thom, but he's not. Thom is literally glowing from his skin at this point. He is suspicious of George's presence, but not in any way actually worried about his activities or movements. Thom overuses his magic, attempting to light a branch of candles, likely to test how George reacts. He knows that Duke Baird, the royal healer, has doubts about Thom's mastery. George's ability to calmly play off Thom's temper turns Thom to mild hysterics, relief at someone not reacting to him. George discovers then that Thom isn't just glowing, he's burning hot. Thom claims he doesn't know when he started burning. George suggests talking to his old master, who was met in the second book, but Thom is still projecting worse traits onto others. George knows that Thom never gave his teachers or his peers any chance to know him. Thom is frustrated to tears at this point. He's terrified that he may have made a mistake. While he should not be raising the dead, this also seems more like this is Roger's active course in the resurrection magic, not something that Thom did incorrectly, that it was always a trap. When George asks if your friend, Roger, knows, Thom doesn't correct the assertion of friend or any counterindication. He answers that he can't or won't ask him, and this makes me wonder again if he is bespelled. Thom tells George that he's afraid to question Roger, that he believes he knows what's happening. Speaking this truth ignites Thom's temper and an outburst. He's agitated and contradictory with himself, declaring both that Myles and John are right about Roger and everything, and declaring that there's no evidence for their claims when, very plainly, Thom is the evidence if nothing else is. He says if it isn't Roger, then the gods have turned from me. Apparently seriously, Thom thought he could attain godhood for himself by his will and power. Alanna wanted to be a warrior maiden, she thought. Thom wanted to reach the divine. He recognizes that he's alienated everyone. He is able to thank George sincerely for just listening, not condemning or advising. After George leaves, Thom puts out the fire with a wave of seawater, certainly excessive of his intent. And then he sits the rest of the night in the smell of scorched wood and ocean and wet carpet. He would rather sit miserable and in pain than ask for help. George writes to Seacham, Tom's old master. How much George is motivated between care for his lover's brother and versus care for the danger that Tom poses as he is, it's not clear, but it's not important. George is just pragmatic as well as compassionate. In a conversation with John, Roger declares that the gods can be defeated, showing the ways that his and Tom's egos match. The end of chapter 5 includes a scene partially from Roger's point of view. He scolds the foursome of his old cult plotting in the background. There is too much unspoken in this scene between Roger and Alex, his former squire, formerly a friend of Alanna and their age mates. It's implied without establishing what Alex does or may know. Roger shows them he has magic of some kind, magic that is bloody red when his magic used to be bright orange. Tom still has the ability and the control to teleport himself to Alanna when she returns to Chorus and stays in Myles' home. This teleportation is a huge act of magic within this world's magic system that Tom just does. It is good that Tom is eager to see her. This kind of emotion has not been seen from him previously at all. They hug. She feels his heat. They both perceive and understand that his gift is corrupted and doubled. Tom's hand shakes as he smooths Alanna's hair, needing her forgiveness for resurrecting Roger. Alanna doesn't lie to herself. She can see Tom is dying and that no one told her. Next day, Roger and Alanna have a little back and forth conversation when she arrives at the palace. He tells her his gift is keeping his tomb warm for him. He invites her to examine him. Tom has seen fit to tell him about her token from the Great Mother Goddess. At the end of the conversation, Roger tells Alanna that he won't give you the chance to kill him a second time, as opposed to a more innocent, I won't give you a reason to. Roger probably does what he does to Tom because it is the deepest way that he can hurt Alanna. His movements are supposedly accounted for as either studying with Tom or otherwise in full view of the general court. Roger is often present when Alanna visits Tom. This strikes me as tasteless or voyeuristic of him. On his side of things, Tom is being helpful with John, studying the potential power of the Dominion Jewel. Alanna visits Tom daily, and he's getting worse. Faithful avoids Tom, Tom avoids Faithful. The cat won't tell Alanna anything useful about Tom, and when the Great Mother Goddess visits Alanna at a crossroads moment of time, she also refuses any information about Tom when Alanna directly asks. Finally, Master Seacham arrives, seemingly a good-spirited old man who doesn't really begrudge Tom anything, but I think it has to be borne in mind that he nevertheless would have served as some sort of role model for Tom during his learning, whether he was deliberate about it or not. Seacham claims responsibility for some of the ways that things go wrong at the final battle of the story. I think that that responsibility can be extended back through time, and something in the way that he taught or failed to teach or reach or perceive young Tom of Trebond. Unfortunately, the sequence of George and Alanna convincing Tom to accept Seacham's help is narratively truncated and summarized. Tom resists seeing or talking to Seacham for days. When he finally agrees to, quote, even Roger was banned from Tom and Seacham's consultations, and this line is absolutely insane to me, that it wasn't just the default Roger be excluded as everyone else is expected to be. Something explicit has to be declared for him. At this point, Tom is skeletal thin, his skin is peeling, and his lips bleed. Either it's poor editing here, or else evidence of Tom's relative detachment from the last on-page conversation with him. He seems to have been unaware that Liam and Alanna were no longer together, which is strange after her periods of visiting. Perhaps with Roger present, she didn't talk about lovers, but they had broken up before they ever actually returned to Chorus. This means that Tom never inquired or never learned beyond whatever rumor made it to Tortall and general circulation, or potentially somehow Roger had him misinformed on this detail. Tom opens the conversation rude and abrupt, prying at Alanna's personal relations. This may be poor editing, but it also really just characterizes him as clumsy but genuine, trying to show an interest and a care for his twin and her future and her love. Ultimately, he blesses George as his choice for her. This makes sense given Tom and George's interactions. Alanna, despite being absolutely irritated with Tom here, sits down comfortably. Thom says, I forgot how much I dislike being analyzed by his own twin, Alanna. Thom's level of forgetting things about Alanna are either evidence of his neglect of care toward her or support for my theory of Roger tampering with Thom's memory in some way, extracting memories and information about Alanna from her closest source. Thom and Seacham ask Alanna to hold some of Thom's gift so he can work on purifying his corrupted gift. She must not use her gift during this time. It's dangerous, but Alanna wants to save Thom. Thom already looks better the very next time Alanna sees him, validating her choice to agree. Then, Alanna has a vision through a projection of the Dominion Jewel before the Chamber of the Ordeal, the night before Jon will go through it for the ordeal of kingship. It seems likely, or at least possible, that Thom in some way experiences the same vision. It's certainly an interesting idea to me of Thom being trapped in Roger's madness and will in that vision, as opposed to, or as well as, how Alanna experiences it. Alanna sees blood-colored magic spreading over the earth at the peak of Jon's coronation. Alanna knows something is happening to Thom before the agony hits her, a feeling of every nerve being pulled out of her body. George is the first to declare it plain. Purple magic plus orange magic makes blood color magic. At the point of reaching Thom's room, Alanna feels her gift being pulled but closes away that influence. Thom stops Alanna from using her gift to try saving him, telling her Roger is bound to him. Thom identified that Roger's gift attached to the resurrecting sorcerer. To me, again, it seems that if this was supposed to be a part of the resurrection magic, it's the kind of thing that would have been noted by the scholars that Thom studied to get the knowledge to do the resurrection, something that he would know could or would happen if it was a potential that it could. I attribute this as Roger's trap. Thom takes solace that Alanna has part of Roger's gift as well as part of Thom's gift, preventing Roger from fully winning already. He says he loves her, and his last words, never know how he did it. Thom doesn't know, so we never know how or why. Alanna has a brief time holding Thom's hand, lost to grief. Seacham breaks into her grief, calling himself a fool, essentially arrogant, quote, I made a mistake. He is talking about himself facing Roger and Roger's magic and what has happened, but that statement applies with Thom too, in my opinion. He gives Alanna the information she needs to find and stop Roger before Seacham is cut down. Alex alone knew Roger's full plan. Even the reader never does, and Alex's number one trait was being secretive, and he kept Roger's secrets very well. The most explanation we get for how Roger didn't really die when Alanna put her sword through his chest is just the name of the spell, Sorcerer's Sleep, and the after effects of Roger being vengefully insane post-resurrection. Roger laughs as he dies for good, underestimating Alanna one last time as her balanced relationship between combat and magic and accepting things that she cannot control comes full circle. The coronation and the final battle occur in July. In the middle of October, the sharp edge of Alanna's grief for the losses of Thom, Liam, and Faithful is manageable. She's ready to go forward and to ask George to marry her. She had Thom's blessing for it, along with the legendary name that he bestowed on her. And so ended the relatively brief and lonely life of Thom of Trebond. Alanna and George named their firstborn Thom in honor of him, but beyond that, her twin is barely a whisper anywhere else in the Tortollan world. And I'm interested if this was a series that you were already familiar with, or if this was all brand new to you. With that, I thank you for your time. I don't know when I'll finish my next video talking about Tamara Pierce's books, but there will be more, and I will see you there.